My name's Harper Lynn. I'm 26, currently living in a tiny studio apartment behind a liquor store in Pittsburgh. I work two jobs, one bartending, one freelance illustrating for textbooks, neither of which pays enough, but together they keep the lights on. Barely. I used to be the good daughter. You know the type. Straight A's, full scholarship, brought home awards like they were groceries. My parents were proud of me. In the way people are proud of their favorite investment, until I stopped being profitable. 3 years ago, my dad lost most of our family's savings in a business deal gone sideways. No one talks about it now, but I remember the night my mom sat me down with a pile of overdue notices and said, "You're the one who got into university on a full ride. You can handle a little more." So I did. I picked up extra shifts. I sent them most of what I made. I even skipped meals some weeks just so their electricity wouldn't get shut off. That's not drama. It's math. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought they saw that. But a few weeks ago, something weird happened. I tried logging into my university email. It bounced back. I thought maybe it was just a tech glitch, but then I noticed my school portal access was gone too. No records, no active student ID. My name? Wiped clean. At first, I panicked. Did I miss something? A deadline? A form? Was there some kind of policy I messed up? Then I called the school's registrar. They put me on hold for almost an hour before coming back with this. "It says here you voluntarily withdrew last year due to a medical exemption. Mental health, specifically. Is that not correct?" I swear I almost dropped my phone. I didn't withdraw. I didn't take a break. I never even filed anything remotely close to that. I was literally bagging groceries at night and sending tuition balance payments from my personal account. Voluntarily withdraw? If anything, I was clawing my way through every damn semester. I asked for a copy of whatever form they had on file. They emailed it to me. It was my name, my birthday, my student number, but not my signature. At the bottom of the page was some chicken scratch scrawl that barely resembled my handwriting. It was dated exactly 10 days after I'd wired my parents $600 to cover their gas bill. There was also a note attached to the form. Per request of immediate family and supporting physician statement, Dr. M.E. Lawson, student is not currently fit for academic continuation. I couldn't breathe for a second. My vision tunneled. Dr. Lawson was our old family doctor, my mom's best friend from church, and the form was approved, stamped. Official. My scholarship, my grant funding, everything. Marked closed and redirected to household representative. Which turned out to be my younger half-sister, Alyssa. You want to hear the kicker? When I tried to call my mom about it, she answered like nothing was wrong. "Hi, honey, how are you?" I asked her if she knew about the form. She went quiet, then said, "You were clearly overwhelmed, Harper. This was just easier. Easier, like shutting me down in a spreadsheet was some kind of mercy." I hung up. 15 minutes later, I got a notification from my bank. A transaction tagged UNIV reimbursement had been deposited into an account I didn't recognize. And that's when I realized I hadn't just been cut off. I'd been replaced, and they didn't even bother hiding it. Because the same day I got that email from the registrar, my cousin sent me a screenshot of an Instagram post. Alyssa, holding up a university welcome packet. Caption, "Second chances exist for those who deserve them." The envelope had my old dorm address on it, and her name. Not mine. I don't remember setting my phone down. I just remember one thought spinning in my head like a drill. If I'm dead in their world, maybe it's time I come back to life in mine. And the first person who's going to meet me? The scholarship committee. So yeah. That was the moment it hit me. They didn't just move on without me. They rewrote the story and replaced me with someone more manageable. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat on the floor with my laptop, digging, clicking through Alyssa's Instagram, trying not to scream. It wasn't even subtle. Her captions were full of gratitude to the university and healing after darkness. She posted a pic in front of the same psych building I used to take seminars in, with the hashtag #AceYourRebirth. I clicked on her tagged photos, found one of her giving a speech at a scholarship gala. A banner behind her read, "In honor of the Lin family's commitment to academic resilience." My name wasn't mentioned once. And then I saw it. A donation plaque. Donated in loving support of Alyssa Lin's recovery journey. Donated by my parents, the same ones who told me they were too broke for rent. That broke me a little. Not because they gave money. They could give her the moon for all I care. It was the word recovery. Recovery from what? I was the one who pulled night shifts. I was the one who got up after panic attacks and still gave presentations. I was the one who emailed professors from public library Wi-Fi when our home internet was cut off. Alyssa was the one who got extensions, who missed exams, who called crying from a spa weekend because her therapist canceled last minute. And they acted like I was the unstable one? At 3 a.m., I opened my cloud archive. I started pulling receipts, screenshots of my grades, bank transfers, emails, time-stamped photos. I built a folder titled, "The Real Harper Lin," because if they were going to erase me, I'd make damn sure they'd have to do it again, knowing full well I could scream this time. Around 10 a.m., I called the university's financial aid office and asked for an in-person meeting. The woman on the line hesitated. Then she said, "Actually, someone from your family already confirmed your withdrawal last month. They said you're currently under inpatient psychiatric care." I nearly dropped the phone. I choked out, "I'm literally on the phone with you right now." She went quiet for a beat. Then gently, "I believe you. Just bring everything you have. And Harper, don't tell anyone you're coming." I hung up shaking. I was halfway through repacking the folder when I noticed an old voicemail sitting in my inbox. It was from a week ago, from Dr. Lawson. I pressed play. Her voice was calm, rehearsed. "Hi, Harper. I hope you're doing okay. I just wanted to touch base regarding the medical affidavit I filed. Your mother said you were fully on board, but I still wanted to check in. Legally, you know. Call me back if anything's unclear." Unclear? I hadn't spoken to that woman in 5 years. I called back. Straight to voicemail. I didn't leave a message. I wanted to hear it from them. From my parents. The people who gave birth to me, fed me, and then erased me like a stain on white linen. So I called the house. Mom picked up. Sounded tired, like I'd just interrupted yoga. "Harper? Honey, I'm in the middle of something." I didn't let her finish. "You forged a medical withdrawal form under my name." Silence. Then, "You weren't well, Harper." "You never have been. We were just trying to..." "Fix the optics?" I snapped. "Help Alyssa get my spot? Rewrite the messy daughter out of the picture?" She exhaled. "It was easier this way." I don't remember hanging up. I just remember standing in the middle of my studio, fists clenched so tight I couldn't feel my fingers. And then my email dinged. It was from the scholarship committee. One of the board members had seen Alyssa's gala speech. They wanted to verify something. Attached was a photo of the signed affidavit. One problem. It wasn't just signed by Harper Lin. There was a second signature below it. Dr. M. E. Lawson and M. Lin, legal guardian. Legal guardian? I was 25 when they filed that form. I was a legal adult, paying their bills, living on my own. So why the hell did my mother sign as my legal guardian? Unless they'd filed something else too. Something even bigger. And that's when I realized. They didn't just fake a medical withdrawal. They declared me mentally unfit. On paper, in court. And if that's true, they may have taken away my rights altogether. I didn't even know where to start. I was holding a document that said my mother was my legal guardian. At 25. That wasn't a clerical error. That wasn't some innocent form mix-up. That was intentional. I sat on the edge of my bed, trying not to lose it. My phone screen kept lighting up. Alyssa was posting new stories from campus. Brunch, Study group. Grinning in a hoodie that still had my old dorm number stitched into the collar. Everything about her life screamed new beginning. Meanwhile, mine felt like it had been quietly buried. I emailed the financial aid board again, asking to reschedule our meeting to the earliest possible slot. I told them I had new information, and I wasn't coming alone. The next morning, I went to the courthouse. It took me 4 hours, a $30 processing fee, and a very confused clerk. But I found it. Filed under Emergency Petition, Adult Guardianship. Applicant Margaret Lynn. Subject Harper Lynn. Basis: history of erratic behavior, possible bipolar disorder, self-isolating, financially unstable, lacks decision-making capacity. Date filed: 10 days after I moved out. Status: granted. There it was. She didn't just sign as my guardian. A judge letter. All behind my back. No hearing, no notification. I hadn't been sick. I hadn't been in crisis. I'd been inconvenient. And legally, that was all it took. By noon, I was in the waiting room of a legal clinic near campus, folder in hand, trying to steady my breathing. When I met with a volunteer attorney, he looked over the documents and blinked slowly. "You're telling me you didn't know this was filed?" I nodded. He stared at me for a long second, then said, "Harper, if this is true, it means your legal autonomy has been suspended for nearly a year." I laughed. Like, full-on laughed. The sound surprised even me. It was either that or scream. I filed my own taxes, paid my rent, held 2 jobs. I even voted, I said. And yet apparently I've been too unstable to manage my own life. He shook his head. "You'll need to petition to terminate the guardianship immediately. But Harper, this is serious. If she used this to access financial aid in your name..." I already knew where that sentence was going. Theft, fraud, maybe more. But that wasn't even the part that stung. What hurt was the reason. She didn't do this because I scared her, or because I needed help. She did it because I walked away, because I stopped playing the part she wrote for me. And she needed to keep control, even if it meant rewriting me as mentally broken. As if being ill made me less real, less worthy, less mine. I left the office with a court packet in one hand and a rage I couldn't quite swallow in the other. I wasn't going to wait for some committee to hand me back my life. I was going to take it. And so I did the thing I knew would light a match in the room they worked so hard to sterilize. I showed up at the campus mental health fundraiser. Alyssa was on stage, thanking the donors. My parents stood off to the side, beaming like the moral pillars of the community. And then I walked in, binder under one arm, phone recording in the other. Someone gasped. Someone else whispered my name. My mom turned first. She went white. Alyssa froze, her words catching mid-sentence as I stepped closer. And then I handed the event director a single printed page. My official motion to revoke the guardianship. Signed, notarized, and time-stamped by me. The woman glanced at it, then at me, and then she said, loud enough for the mic to pick up, "Wait, you're Harper?" I looked straight at my sister. She opened her mouth. But before she could speak, the director turned and said, "She's been claiming you're hospitalized." And that's when the room exploded. Phones came out. Cameras flashed. My dad reached out to pull Alyssa away, but I was already in front of the mic. I said just one thing. "You can take my money, my seat, my name, but you don't get my silence anymore." The crowd was stunned. No one spoke. Not even her. Not even the mom who once told me I was too intense to be believed. And in that moment, I saw it click on their faces. They hadn't just pushed me out. They'd tried to make me disappear. I don't know who else out there has ever been rewritten like this. Made to feel invisible. Difficult. Untrustworthy. Not because you were dangerous, but because you wouldn't lie down and stay quiet. If that's you, I see you. You're not crazy. You're not wrong. And you're definitely not alone. I didn't sleep the night before the hearing. I laid out everything. Passport stamps, pay stubs, class rosters, even a goddamn grocery receipt from the day they said I was institutionalized. It was stupid, but I kept replaying my mom's voice in my head. You never have been well, Harper. It was easier this way. Easier for who? Because it sure as hell hadn't been easy living under two fake names. The one they used to steal my life, and the one they gave me behind my back. Unstable, incapable, unfit. That morning, I walked into the courthouse with my binder under one arm and a borrowed blazer that didn't quite fit. The volunteer attorney met me at the security line. He looked more nervous than I did. You ready? He asked. I nodded. And I was. Inside, my parents sat together like they were at Sunday brunch. Calm, composed. Her in a beige silk blouse like this was PTA, not probate. Alyssa wasn't there. I half expected her to burst in at the last second like some indie movie villain in a cardigan. But no, just the two of them. The judge read through the documents, barely looked up. Then she turned to my mother. Mrs. Lynn, you filed this petition claiming your adult daughter lacked capacity to manage her personal affairs. Do you have any documentation to support this? My mother cleared her throat. We have personal experience. Harper has always been volatile. We were concerned for her safety. And yet she's held employment, filed taxes, paid rent. She hides things, my mom said quickly. It's part of her illness. She can appear functional. I'd like to speak, I cut in. The judge nodded. I stood up, palms sweating but voice steady. Everything they said, it's projection. I've never been hospitalized, never diagnosed, never medicated, not once. I have records here from 4 states that prove I've been working, living, supporting myself. I slid the binder forward. And this, I pointed at the guardianship papers, was filed without my knowledge. No hearing, no notification. I only found out when my financial aid got cut and my scholarship was reassigned to my sister. The judge flipped through the folder, page after page, silence stretching long. Then she asked, "Where is the sister now?" My mother looked caught. "She's unable to attend." Convenient. Your Honor, my attorney said, we've also included screenshots and public posts indicating the sister is currently enrolled under Harper's former student ID. The judge frowned, then turned to me. Why do you think this was done? That stopped me. Why? Because I left. Because I stopped being obedient. Because I didn't shrink when they asked me to. Because I made them uncomfortable by surviving without them. But I just said, because it was easier to take from me than support me. The judge didn't say anything for a long time. Then she signed. Motion to revoke. Approved. Guardianship terminated. Legal autonomy restored. I walked out of that courtroom feeling lightheaded. Not happy. Not even free. Just real. Like I had a name again. But that wasn't the twist. That came 3 days later. I was back at the studio, answering emails, when a message popped into my inbox from an address I didn't recognize. Subject line, University Ethics Inquiry. Urgent. Inside was a short note. Ms. Lynn, we're reaching out in response to an anonymous tip regarding fraudulent representation and identity misuse involving a student registered under your previous ID. Please confirm the following. Did you authorize a third party to represent you in the recent scholarship renewal cycle? Were you aware your academic credentials were resubmitted with updated personal essays under the name Alyssa Lynn? Attached was a scanned PDF, an essay, titled Overcoming the Shadow of My Sister's Breakdown, written by Alyssa, with my GPA, my research, my volunteer hours. She hadn't just stolen my money. She'd written me into her origin story, as the villain. I sat there in silence, reading that sentence over and over. Watching Harper unravel was painful, but it taught me resilience. I chose light where she chose chaos. If you've ever had your pain twisted into someone else's performance piece, If someone ever used your lowest moment to make themselves look higher, yeah, I see you. You're not broken. You're not the story they told, and you sure as hell aren't done. A week after the university ethics board reached out, I was called to testify. It wasn't in court, not yet, but in a closed-door academic hearing. Panel of 5, 1 student representative, 2 ethics advisors, a legal consultant, and the dean of financial affairs. They gave me 15 minutes. I brought everything. The original scholarship contract, my revoked guardianship papers, the email from the donor who confirmed he thought he was funding my education, screenshots of Alyssa's essay, and the part where she rewrote my breakdown like it was her personal motivational speech. I didn't raise my voice once, didn't cry, didn't even blink when someone on the panel said, "This level of deception, it's almost pathological." I just nodded and said, "It's not new. It's just finally being seen." The fallout was fast. Alyssa's enrollment was placed under investigation, her financial aid frozen. That gala appearance? The donor pulled funding, said he doesn't back liars. She messaged me. Of course. It was a wall of texts that started with, "Why are you doing this to me?" Then turned into, "You always wanted to ruin me." And ended with, "I'm the one who deserved it. You never even fought." I didn't reply, because that was the difference between us. She built a story around my silence. I built a case around her lies. A week later, I got a letter from the university. They were offering to reinstate me, backdated, full recognition of credits with a public apology pending. I said no, because that wasn't the point anymore. I didn't want their seat back. I wanted the door they'd closed on me, the one that led to everything else, wide open again, and I walked through it. I published my story under my real name on an academic transparency blog. Didn't name her, didn't name my parents, but I laid it out. What happens when mental health is weaponized? When concern is just control with a prettier face? When daughters are rewritten to fit a cleaner narrative and discarded the second they stop being useful? That story went further than I thought it would. I got emails from people in similar shoes. Women whose families claimed power of attorney just to silence them. Students whose names were scrubbed so their siblings could inherit scholarships, apartments, even identities. Turns out I wasn't a rare case. Just one of the first to say it out loud. And as for my parents, they haven't spoken to me since the hearing, but someone forwarded me a post my mom made in her church group. Sometimes children become ungrateful, but God sees who suffers in silence. No, Mom, God saw everything. He saw how you signed my name like it was scrap paper, how you looked me in the eye and said it was for my own good, and how I walked into that hearing not to scream, but to be heard. I didn't burn the house down. I just turned on the lights. The truth is, justice doesn't always come with applause. Sometimes it just comes with a name. And mine is Harper Lynn, again. The lesson I took away: imbalance doesn't always come from strangers. Sometimes it's handcrafted at the dinner table. And healing isn't loud. It's quiet, firm, and undeniable. If you've ever been rewritten in someone else's story, erased, silenced, or replaced, I hope you'll share your experience in the comments. Not for me. For the next person who needs to know they're not crazy. They're just inconvenient to the wrong people. And if you want to hear more stories like this, you know what to do. I'm not going anywhere this time.